There has always been a certain kind of company that looks at an established industry and decides the people running it have been doing it wrong for years. Sometimes those companies are right. Dreame, best known for its household appliances and consumer electronics, appears to be making exactly that kind of bet with the Nebula Next 01X, a concept vehicle it unveiled at the Appliance and Electronics World Expo 2026. The car is the first automotive project under what Dreame calls its Starry Sky plan, and from the specifications being shared, the company is clearly not interested in making a quiet entrance into the automotive world. The Nebula Next 01X is built around a semiconductor chip manufactured on a 2-nanometer process, which currently represents the cutting edge of what is commercially achievable in chip fabrication. That chip delivers 2,000 TOPS of single-core computing performance, a figure that puts it in a different league from the processing hardware found in most production vehicles today. The reason that matters is not just raw speed. With that kind of computational capacity, the car's driving system can build detailed models of the environment around it and make predictions about what is likely to happen next, rather than simply reacting to what is already happening. That shift from reactive to predictive is one of the fundamental differences between driver assistance technology and genuine autonomous driving, and it is where Dreame is planting its flag. Underneath the computing platform sits what Dreame calls the Starry Sky Tianchun Intelligent Chassis System, which brings together powertrain management and suspension control into a tightly coordinated architecture. The suspension itself uses electromagnetic actuation rather than the air-based systems common in luxury vehicles today. Dreame claims this approach is 10 times more responsive than conventional setups while consuming half the energy, which sounds like exactly the kind of claim that deserves some skepticism until real-world testing confirms it, but the underlying physics of electromagnetic actuation versus pneumatic systems does support the idea that meaningful responsiveness gains are achievable. The control system operates across 14 degrees of freedom and can synchronize vehicle dynamics across multiple domains within a single millisecond, which is the kind of number that only starts making sense when you appreciate just how much can change in a car's handling situation during even a brief moment at highway speed. The testing figures attached to this chassis system are more tangible. Cornering stability reportedly improves by around 25% compared with traditional suspension designs, and wet surface grip increases by approximately 30%. Whether those numbers hold up under independent verification remains to be seen, but they point to a system that is genuinely trying to rethink how a vehicle manages its contact with the road, rather than simply refining existing approaches. Battery technology is another area where Dreame is making bold claims. The vehicle uses what the company describes as the world's first mass-producible 60 ampere-hour solid-state cell, reaching a verified energy density of 450 watt-hours per kilogram. Solid-state batteries have been the subject of enormous investment and even more enormous promises across the automotive industry for years, with the gap between laboratory results and production-ready hardware proving frustratingly wide. The fact that Dreame is specifically using the word mass-producible is significant because that has historically been the sticking point. Future development targets point toward 800 watt-hours per kilogram in later generations of the technology, a figure that would genuinely transform what is possible in terms of vehicle range and weight. For now, the range-extended electric version of the Nebula Next 01X delivers a CLTC-rated pure electric range of 550 kilometers, which is competitive with the strongest performers currently on the market. The performance numbers attached to the top specification version of the car are frankly difficult to process without pausing for a moment. The ultra-luxury variant features a super track mode that accelerates the vehicle from standstill to 100 kilometers per hour in 1.8 seconds. For context, that puts it in the same conversation as purpose-built hypercars that cost many times more. Achieving that requires a quad-motor drivetrain producing a combined 1,399 kilowatts of total system power, with each motor having its own independent cooling system to manage the thermal stress of sustained high-output operation. The braking system, designed to haul all of that speed back down, uses electronic mechanical actuation with a response latency of under 80 milliseconds and pressure control precision of 0.1 megapascals, which allows the car to modulate braking force with a fineness that hydraulic systems struggle to match. Visually, the Nebula Next 01X does not look much like what most people picture when they hear the word SUV. Despite being classified as one within Dreame's product strategy, the car has the proportions and roofline of a performance-focused fastback, sitting closer in character to something like the Polestar 2 than to a conventional raised crossover. That design decision serves a practical purpose beyond aesthetics. A sleeker fastback profile is more aerodynamically efficient, which directly supports the range figures the company is targeting, and it does so without requiring the interior to shrink. Dreame describes the cabin as a super hub environment, designed to integrate digital services and smart home connectivity within what the company calls its broader human-car-home ecosystem. Given that Dreame's existing business revolves around connected home appliances, the idea of extending that ecosystem into the vehicle is a natural progression rather than a stretch. The manufacturing strategy the company has outlined is unconventional by traditional automotive standards. Rather than investing in dedicated production facilities, Dreame plans to use a global contract manufacturing model that keeps capital requirements lower and allows capacity to flex more easily. The company expects mass production to begin by 2027, which is an ambitious timeline for a vehicle that is currently at the concept stage, but not an impossible one given how rapidly Chinese automotive supply chains have demonstrated they can move when properly motivated. Distribution will lean on Dreame's existing retail presence, which currently spans more than 6,500 outlets worldwide. Over the next 3 years, the company plans to open around 300 dedicated direct sales centers to handle the automotive side of the business specifically. That kind of retail footprint, built before a single production car has been delivered, gives Dreame a head start that purely automotive startups typically spend years and enormous amounts of money trying to build from scratch. The competitive reference point the company keeps returning to is the Xiaomi SU7, which has attracted significant attention for demonstrating that a consumer electronics brand can build a genuinely compelling performance electric vehicle. The flagship SU7 produces 1,139 kilowatts at peak output. Dreame's figure of 1,399 kilowatts sits comfortably above that, and the company is clearly positioning itself as the more powerful, more technologically advanced alternative. The broader ambition appears to be competing with established European luxury manufacturers by offering superior technology at a price point those brands cannot easily match, combining the engineering scale and supply chain efficiency of the consumer electronics industry with automotive performance that historically required decades of heritage to achieve. Whether that ambition translates into a production vehicle that lives up to what the Nebula Next 01X concept is promising is a question that 2027 will begin to answer. What is already clear is that Dreame has thought carefully about every layer of this project, from the chip architecture to the chassis dynamics to the retail strategy, and is approaching the automotive industry not as an outsider hoping to get lucky, but as a company with a specific plan for how to win.